This time on Captain Cash's Laboratory, we're going to be working on a table accent piece from Lemax. It is the Full Moon Moonshine piece. Which, there we go. And the bottom's been peeled open, not by me. But when you turn it on, that lights up, but the moon doesn't. So it's kind of a no moon moonshine at the moment. So we're going to fix that. So this was sent in, of course, because the moon didn't work, or it doesn't work. And we're going to see about making the moon light up again. The bottom is opened. Here's a small distribution board that was actually hanging out when I took it out of the package. It was kind of like that. So I just push it down so I can lay it flat on my bench. The distribution board receives the incoming power from your box, which is battery or AC adapter, as you can see. It goes through the board with one leg, and then it branches off up inside. Let's turn this light on. There you go. Up inside to the lights that do this. And then another leg goes over here, and then it goes up the back side of the tree, there, to the moon. So that's the side that's having the issues. I'm going to assume the power is good, but we're going to check. Most likely the LED burned out. That's the biggest cause. So I'm going to grab a voltmeter, and we're going to check the power going up to the LED. I mean, the wire could be damaged, any number of things, but we're going to start with the distribution board. Mainly because it's accessible at the moment, and we're going to go from there. So, I'm going to use that to tip that so I can read it and you can see it. Because it was laying flat, I can't see it, all I see is reflection. So when it's up at an angle, it's like this, you guys can't see it very well. So I try to find a happy medium. Like that. Here we go. Power on. Saw the light come on there. Moon's not. It fell down. Of course, the wires are right on top of the board for the jumper. Here we go. So this one and this one. It looks like it's around 1.8. Keeps slipping on me. Let's see if I can. I'm going to try and just hold it tighter against the, there we go. Less likely to slip. Alright. This one. Is 0. So one LED is pulsating because this is a flicker light. The other LED is 0. So maybe there is a problem on this little distribution board. Or it's the opposite polarity, which I have actually seen on Lemax a lot recently. So let's reverse polarity. Need to be able to read the board. So on the board we have a capacitor and a resistor. And then we have the wire that goes to the moon that's not working, for these two, which, yeah, is this leg and this leg. There's nothing on the back side of the board you have to worry about, since the back side of the board is just a solid piece of material. So I am getting no juice. That is weird. A little bit there. There's a couple of pins, because this board could have LED soldered directly to the board. So there's some heat shrink right here. I'm going to open that up because I'm wondering if the wire inside's broke. I want to check that. We're not getting a connection through the light, which, you know, I should have a voltage even if the light's burned out. There we go. So it looks like the solder's good. So let's check the voltage differential between the incoming power and the outgoing. 5 volts, almost 6. Okay. Now we'll check it against the light again. What we got? Let's say a 0.5 volt. I can't read with the magnifier's on. No, it's 5 volts, almost 6 again. Okay, so I am getting power up to the wire. I'm just not getting a good connection off of it. That's my problem. Okay. So it looks like I am getting 5 volts up to here, or at least into the loom that goes up to here. So we need to check up in here now. I just wasn't getting a good contact on the board. Now, if you know anything about heat shrink, you have to slide it down something. So there's 2 ways to re-heat shrink this. You can either just cut the wire or desolder it, slide heat shrink on, or you can just do liquid electrical tape, or you can just wrap it in electrical tape. But I'm going to worry about that once we get this moon to work. So these moons, the different pieces I've come across, they're hot glued, or they're glued. Should say hot glue, because they're not always hot. This glue is pretty hard. And anyhow, there's a divot in the light, or in the lens, that the LED sits in. At least on the freestanding moons I've taken apart and replaced the LEDs in. So I don't know if this one's going to be the same. It's the same moon as the freestanding ones that have the extendable pole. So I'm sure that it also has the little divot or indentation or hole. So this style, you don't want to try and just crack the glue and wiggle it. You'll end up breaking the moon itself, or you'll snap the arms off the tree. So you are going to have to use heat. And the only reason I know that for a fact is I've had a few of the freestanding moons sent to me where they've actually snapped them trying to just wiggle them out. So there's a lot of resin glue right here in the bottom. My heat gun is now up to temperature, And I'm just gonna start heating up this glue. This also has glue on the front, so add a little heat to the front to start warming it up. Is starting to move. Let's see what will come out. It's almost there. Oh, there's even glue up in here. Jeez. So I'm not moving the moon back and forth. I'm rolling it within its. There's a groove that the moon sits in, so I'm rolling it back and forth in the groove. Now this has a silver band on the edge right here, a silver gray, and just so you know, it's going to leave that silver gray paper in the glue. It always does. Okay, see if I can give it a little bit more persuasion. Alright, this one is different than the other moons. There we go. Slightly different. So this one, I have seen this on the freestanding ones before too. There's a notch right here for the light, but it's not a notch itself. The light's on a cardboard backer or a paperboard backer right there. So it's still inside the tree trunk. And you can see the silver paper is starting to come off. It's sticky because it's held on with adhesive. And I just got it hot, so I've reactivated the adhesive. So now I want to try and remove some of this gray. There we go. I want to try and put it back on. I'm going to try and salvage as much of this as possible. The only reason it peels off is because it was stuck in the glue. There we go. That. Now, the wire comes across the top of the tree branch, so I got to get the resin down inside hot enough to try and peel the LED out. And I'm going to need something narrow and pointy. You can use a pick. I'm going to use a small electronics screwdriver to start to peel out this glue. Carefully, not to put a lot of pressure on the tree branch and causing it to break, but enough pressure that I can start picking out the chunks of glue so I can get to this light. This light is a square LED. Most LEDs are kind of round. This one's square. Hopefully you'll see it here in a minute once I get it out. This does feel like not super glue, it does feel like hot glue, but I could be wrong, it is kind of spongy. or cooling down. There we go. You just take your time if you have to do this. If it starts getting too hard, apply a little bit more heat until you can get things to move. And there is the LED right there. And I just want to get more of this glue out of the hole because I won't be able to slide that back in once we fix the problem. So while it's still warm, I'm going to try and scrape out what's left and probably pick some out with a pair of needle nose. Like that. There we go. And let's put this back so it'll turn off. So you can see the LED is narrow and then fat. It's a square or rectangular narrow LED. And you can see the track inside. There's still some of that silver paper, which goes right there. There's no point in taking that out because that piece of the moon will just set right back inside like so. But digging all that glue out, you can see how it was really easy just to slide that back in. So since you have the heat gun out, if you're doing this yourself, go ahead and clean out the groove, and you can make it as clean as you want. There's a little resistance when I put the moon in because there's still a little bit of that glue boogering right here. It's still soft because it's not fully cooled. So I'm going to pull that out. That way, just like that. There we go. So now we need to see what's going on with is it the light or the wiring? I'm going to try and remove some of the glue on the pins of the LED. So I'm trying not to cut it. I need something small enough to grab that glue. So now the two pins are exposed. So now I have pin 1 and pin 2 where I can connect and see which is hot and which is negative and see if this light actually lights up. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. A lot of times when LEDs go bad, you'll see a burn on the inside of the lens, and because it's clear, it should be easy to see. LED looks okay. Solder joints look good. Wire seems to be intact. I don't see any reason it wouldn't work. Alright, I'll take my voltmeter or power supply and I'm going to set it for 2.5 volts. I want to see if this thing lights up. You can also use your multimeter if you have one, like what I have right there. And you can do a LED test. It's a diode test, but it needs a voltmeter. I'm getting no juice on this LED at 2.5 volts. So if you've never done it before, you'll have to go to the diode symbol, which on here is right there. It's hard to see. That black one right there. So you would select the diode symbol, which you'll be able to see it larger Right there, that's the symbol. It's kind of an arrow pointing at a flat plate with a line going through the center of it. What that does is it tells you the forward voltage of your diode. That works for both light emitting and regular. So light emitting and light lacking. Alright, so nothing. We'll turn it over so that the pins are on opposite sides. My meter touched itself. That's why you saw a number. Alright, so this one's testing okay. Or it was. What happened to my connection? It's got a forward voltage of just over 1/2 volt. So the LED is technically fine. So the 2.5, it's actually 2.6 volts, isn't enough power, most likely to turn this light on. So let's bump it up. White lights can run up to, I have some white lights that'll run at almost 7 volts. I know it's not going to be 7 because of the 4.5 volt box, but I'm at 3. I have nothing. That's lighting up, but this isn't. So I'm back feeding the board. So I'm going to desolder the LED from the wire one side so I don't backfeed and make this light up again. It'll take just a second for my soldering iron to get up the temperature. No, it's not the temperature yet. There we go, now it's up to temperature. So, with one wire off, it won't backfeed the board. I'm wondering if we just have a bad wire. But if you don't have a meter, this is an easy way to test your light. I think it is a defective LED. It's full 4.5 volts and there's nothing. That's weird, because the meter said it was good. Let's try it again. Maybe I was reading that LED because they're wired together with a resistor. Now that I have it isolated from the circuit, let's see. Done. Nothing. Okay, so I was reading that circuit. Because they're wired together on that distribution board, even with the resistor and capacitor, it was reading this LED. So, I may not have a white LED in that shape, meaning the flat ones. We might have to get creative. have lots of LEDs. I have another bucket of these things that I don't know where I put it. Where is it? Resistors, capacitors. I got square LEDs, but they're large. They won't fit inside there. Most LEDs are rounded on the top. I know I have some of the flat style ones, but I think they're all greens and yellows. Oh, yellow might make the moon look deeper. Deeper color. Oh, what do we got? I got green. So that's the shape. You can see it's narrow and flat, but these are green. I don't have any whites. And I don't think I have any oranges. I got red and green. And we need white. See, what I do have in white is this style. Which this style has a big bulge on the end, and it's got 4 pins. So, like I said, LEDs, they come in many shapes, styles, colors, sizes, dimensions, things like that. Let me scavenge through some of my part stuff and see if I have a flat white LED that's maybe sitting in something I'm about to tear apart, like a circuit board or a computer board, because they also have LEDs on them. For instance, this computer board I'm going to take some parts off of, but this one doesn't have any LEDs. So we gotta do some looking here and see what I can find. If not, I'll see if a small 3mm LED would fit. And if it does, we'll use that. But if it doesn't, we want to use a flat. Then I might have to order some, because apparently I don't have them in white. So I have an infrared, green, and red. I don't have any of the flat square ones in white or off-white. I'm going to do some checking, and I'll be back. If I don't have any, I'll have to order them. I'll let you know to order them, and then we'll continue this when they show up in a week or two, since it's almost Christmas time, and getting stuff isn't going to be as fast. So, be back in just a moment. Alright, it's been a little bit of time. I've gone through all the old circuit boards I have laying around, and then the other kits of stuff I've acquired that have LEDs on them. I found more of the square style LEDs, bigger than that though, but none of them are white, so it doesn't matter. I now found them in the old school green, which I think is called gallium green from like the 1990s. I found them in orange. I found them in every color I need but the color I want. Or every color I don't need, let's rephrase it that way. So, I'm going to go ahead and order some of these flat ones, and I'm going to get a micrometer out. We're going to measure this real fast to see exactly its size, because this is important. Oh, I have a micrometer, but it looks like the battery's dead. What the heck? Can't win for losing. Alright, so this battery's bad. The reason I need a micrometer is the size I have are larger, and I need the smaller. And new battery. So, new battery. So it's about 3. Let's make sure it's zeroed. 3¼ millimeters wide by 1.8 or 1.9 millimeters thick. So when I find them, I will link them below at the end of the video. But that's where we're going to stop at the moment. I'm going to go find the right LED to fit in here. That way it's the way it was. It'll also fit better in here, and of course it'll fit inside of that groove right there. So, all right, be back in just a moment on your time. Okay, welcome back. Since I started this process, the bench is now in a new location. So the lighting's going to be different for a while. The sound is going to be different. I don't know, because the room's much larger, like 3 or 4 times larger. 3, it's about 3. I haven't finished setting everything up, so this will be the first half of a video that's filmed in a new location, and that's because the light showed up. So I want to get this done so I can get this and the other piece they sent back and put in a box so they can get it here soon. But today is January 1st, 2024. That's how long it's taken to get these LEDs. And I wanted to at least get this finished. My bench is set up enough to where I have my machines, my leads for testing stuff, basic tools on one side. So I think I can get this done, my hot glue gun, because all I got to do is solder this in, test it, and we're good to go. So if it sounds funny or you don't like the lighting on this last half of the video, let me know, because it's not done. This room isn't done. I haven't finished the process of getting everything set. So anyhow, this should be a whitish LED. So I got some, well, it's a multi-pack, as you can see. I got green, blue, yellow, red, and I'm assuming those are white because that's what it said on the packaging. So I'm going to get an LED tester right here, and we're going to test it. So yeah, that's definitely cold white. And how's it looking here? Once we, it doesn't look too bad. I don't know. Also got a new light stand. I'll turn it off, maybe get a little bit more. You might be able to see it more. I'm trying to shade it from the light that's over there now. But let's just for giggles, what does it look like with a yellow? You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go kill the lights so we can get a better look before I put it together. And the only reason I want to do the light testing is in case you have one of these, whether it's this piece or any that use this moon, you can, if it burns out, maybe you want to change the color. There's more light switches in this room. So there's the leads that I push through. The pins are loose. So there it is with the yellow. Actually looks pretty good. It looks better on camera than in person. It's very muted in person. Now, I need light. Light's coming back. And let's do a white. It's going off. So it's really bright, and that's what it was from Lemax. It's probably a hair brighter than what Lemax did. Different type of LED, but there we go. And what if we did a red? See, what you can't see on the camera is there's a little bit of glow because I use a large. Ooh, that looks good. Now this spot here, the camera picks up, but in your eye, it's very muted. That looks real good. A blood moon. I might have to do that. I have one of those freestanding one that's the LEDs burned out as well, and the stems broke. I got it for free, and I might make a blood moon. That looks real nice. And let's try a blue. Oops, wrong pins. Oh, that's green. I thought that was blue. It looks like a very dim moon, like the moon behind the clouds. It's kind of a grayish color. I know you can see the green right here. But again, the camera picks up light different than your eyes. It has a tinge of green, not that deep like it shows in the viewfinder. But it looks like the cloud, like a cloud haze, kind of a grayish. It actually doesn't look too bad. Now let's see if I can find a blue. You know what? I'm just going to use the light. Light's coming back. There we go. Light's going off. There's a blue moon. That looks great too. That looks really good. Wow. So when they have those freestanding stands with the LED moons that you can put behind your display, I might pick up a couple of those because you can get them on some of the websites like eHobby Tools or Villages of, what's it called now? Villages of Fun. Yeah, Villages of Fun. Those freestandings, and I might put a couple like in a cemetery with a blue moon or one with a blood moon, maybe behind one of, I only have like one thing that's witch, so maybe I'll put a blood moon behind the witch's piece. But this is one of the reasons when I buy multi-kits I take a little extra time and test things like this, is because it doesn't have to be original. You can change it. It's yours. I don't care what Lemax says about don't change our stuff. It violates our patent. It's yours. You bought it. If it burns out, make it any way you want. Light's coming back. That way I can see better. So I'm going to fire up the soldering iron. Also, it used to be, in the beginning half of this video, my machines were over here. Now I have all my machines in front of me. So I have 5 power supplies sitting in front of me. I have over there on the left, I have a 30 volt 10 amp. Next to it is another 30 volt 10 amp, but it is slightly different. It's digital. They're both digital technically, but the one allows me to control the amperage and wattage of what I'm hooking up to. The other one just allows me to control the amperage and voltage. Then right here, and there's gonna, once the lab is done, I'll do a video of the entire lab. Right in front of me here is a monster machine that is 30 volts DC, and it's 2 of them side by side, and you can link them together, have them separate. So if you need to have parallel or series current. Then of course there's my standard one I always use with the soldering iron, which is directly in front of me. And then over here is the big red one that's AC, that's from 0 to 130 volts AC for those AC units that like Mr. Christmas and Department 56 have. During the move, I have not been able to find my piece of solder that is almost gone. So I got a new roll, which I should have probably taken the protective film off before filming. What are you doing? Got a razor knife right here to cut it. Dink. static. So, some solder. So we're going to go back with the original white, just because that's the OEM. Again, the color range or color temperature is slightly colder, so it's a little bit brighter. It's, like I said, it's nothing I can do. Every manufacturer of LEDs is going to have slightly different color temperatures or variations on their shades. So this batch, if you buy the same ones to do your moon or other projects, these little flat LEDs, your red could be deeper or lighter red than mine, or deeper or lighter blue than mine. There's nothing you can do. It's just like paints. When you buy paint, you go and have it color matched. A year later, that color may be a shade darker or lighter if you're touching up a wall, as an example. So LEDs are the same as far as how things work. Oh, let's get my bench light back on. There we go. Magnifiers, so I can see what I'm doing. We got the AC adapter plugged in. We got the power box right here. I don't know, plug that in. Soldering iron's up to temperature, and since it's in front of me now and I have, you know, less stuff in the way, I'm going to actually bring the whole thing forward so it's less work. And I'm going to desolder the bad one. Put that over there so I can throw it away. I still have a trash in here. It's just not to my right next to where my drawers are. It's actually on the other side of the bench. If you saw the picture on Facebook, this bench is 6 foot long and I'm sitting in the middle. So I got almost 3 feet to a trash can that's over there. It's also 3 feet deep and it's 4 feet tall. Not this part, but the top part that's right there that this light's on. So this is a big monster of a bench. And it took a couple of hours to disassemble and reassemble. So, just like the other one, the leads were short, so I'm going to go ahead and cut these leads short as well. Like that. Still has the same metal drawer sounds. But yeah, if you're watching this part and you're not skipping forward, yeah, let me know if it sounds funny. We're going to do another video as well, a full video that's done in here. And yeah, let me know if it sounds funny, if anything needs to be changed, if I need to put those foam pads on the walls to absorb sound, if it's echoey. I mean, I'll hear it too when I do the, when I check the proof once the editing's done, but my ears and my speakers may be different. Well, they're definitely different than your ears and your speakers. So I like to get a consensus of what's going on. So right now I'm just pre-tinning everything. So that way I can just solder it on. And all you folks out there that do soldering, yes, I know my sponge is dry because I don't use a sponge. I use an actual scrubber. I used to use a sponge all the time. There's some burns on it and there's solder stuck inside. I just don't use the sponge anymore. Ever since I used the copper or brass tip cleaners, I find they work so much better than the sponge. Especially if I have something corrosive on it or sticky like plastic when I use it to burn plastic. The scrubber works, the sponge doesn't. It just cools the tip down and the plastic gets hard. Alright, I'm going to turn the power on. So you should have seen the cauldron. And that's because I don't know which side is positive and which side is negative. Because I just cut the leads off and I don't know which is hot and which is not on the actual... So I think it's backwards. On the actual wires coming out of the unit. It's a lot harder than it looks. apparently when I tinned it, some of that plastic got on the connection. So should be this way then. Yep. Turn it off. Now I'm not going to put a piece of heat shrink on it like they did, because I don't want to split the wire far enough down to put the heat shrink on so it doesn't melt. So once it's on with the solder, I'm going to use the glue as the insulator between the leads, which they do on a lot of pieces. There we go. There we go. Voila. So when I stick this back up inside, I'm going to use the hot glue and make sure it gets between the two leads to ensure that we do not get a short. Lemax has been doing that forever. It's not new. They've been, and they're not the only ones. Department 56 does it too on their low voltages. But what it is, it's a non-conductive material because hot glue doesn't conduct electricity. So we're good. So I'm going to feed this back up inside the tree trunk. Before I do that though, let's clean out some of this glue so I can inset it. Since today is the 1st, now this probably won't be up until like the 7th or 8th. That's just because of work and getting it to the editor so it conforms to the YouTube formats and all that. I don't know if you've all seen that they've released the Lemax line for 2024 for all of their divisions. So, because Lemax has a handful of miniature house sections, you can see it on their website. I took a gander at them, and I'm actually surprised with the theming they used for Halloween this year, where we have, it looks like a lot of business type stuff, hotels and breweries and stuff. And then they also went with more of the mythological or fairy tale stuff. They have a quote unquote Hansel and Gretel cottage, and they have the River Styx boat, and they have Medusa's house. So I was actually surprised they have a large, I'm gonna turn my soldering iron, don't need it anymore. A large range of things this year, but they kind of stuck with just two main themes. I mean, they do have some accessories for the pirates, and they do have some other small things here and there, but I'm surprised with their lineup. And they have some stuff that has no lighting in it this year. It's just, as they call them, tabletop pieces, where it's literally just a static piece. And I was surprised about that too, because they don't do that as much, but they're bringing it back. The tabletop piece they have this year is a cemetery scene, and I'm definitely thinking about buying it. And if I do buy it, it's going to have lights. It definitely needs something to access the mausoleum and the crypt and all the tombstones that are in it. So, I don't know if any of you out there have seen it yet, but you can go to Lemax Collection and take a look at it. It's got some stuff. I think they all have their own pros and cons. The pumpkin patch, I don't really like I'll probably get it, but I'm not really keen on their pumpkin design. I think the faces were horrible, or at least the one they used for their demo were horrible. That's just personal opinion. But it's one of those things. I don't do witches. I mean, I do have a witch building, I believe. I don't remember. I have 200 plus houses. and I never remember what exactly I have until I walk out there and look at it. And it sounds bad, but I have so many things to remember, I can't remember everything. But I know that they have some witch accessories. They have a whole bunch of plant accessories. So if you have the older plant houses, which there's two, because I know I have a little vignette of them in my display, they now have more of the man-eating plants. So it's kind of cool. I'm actually surprised. They're usually pretty critical of their stuff. And I'm surprised this year it looks a lot better. Now, I have seen some people comment online that it looks cheap and plasticky. Plastic's the future. I know a lot of people don't like it. Resin and plastic are the future. They're cheaper, more durable, easier to make, and faster to make. They don't have to worry about the molds breaking down as quick as they do with porcelain or ceramic, because that stuff's hard and it wears down the mold. And I know this from going and doing a thing with Department 56. The molds can't go as long because the hard material actually does wear down, the hard material being the porcelain, wears down the molds. And then it gets more expensive. And then they have to make new molds. So, pros and cons. Pros and cons. I personally prefer the plastics, and that's only because they're slightly easier to work on. Right now I'm adding the glue to the wires so that they don't ever touch. But again, it's all personal preferences. I know that some are purists and only want the porcelain or ceramics, and I get it. I used to be like that with cars. When I built cars, I wanted the OEM parts. They call it NOS, new old stock. When I built my old custom cars, and then I got over it, realizing that why would I want to buy something made in the 60s when I can get a newer version? Maybe has fixed some of the flaws from the older version. So, I mean, if you want, you can put down your comments on what you think about plastic versus ceramic versus resin. They've been doing resin and ceramics for many, many years. And when I say many, many years, I'm referring to even their original houses back in the 2000s. Even though they were mostly ceramic, they did have resin components. I used to have a whole bunch, and then when they started coming out with better quality houses, I got rid of my old originals. Some people don't like that, some people do. Again, personal preference. I collect a certain style house, and if they make a house that looks similar, that's in better quality or has better lighting or better paint, then I'm going to go with that, and that's just who I am. And that's probably from the times of doing show cars where it has to be pleasing. What I'm doing is I'm putting some glue in the track so the wire can fit in the track. Then I'm going to glue the bottom on where it was peeled when I got it. Turn the glue gun off, and that's so the heat only don't kill the battery faster, and also the heat will retain. But it also means that the glue won't be as hot coming out, so one, won't burn me, and two, it'll cure faster because I'm not gluing structure, I'm just gluing for holding. This was all with super hot, so I hate the glue strings. I even have a glue gun that's all it's designed to do is make glue strings. You know, a spider web maker. Alright. Just holding that down so that the felt bottom re-adheres. Get rid of these glue strings again. Now, there is going to be a slight issue, which is you're going to see a lot of white right here. That's because they filled that with hot glue and then they painted it brown. No, can't quite do that. So I am still going to put a dab of hot glue in here. Just a little bit. So I don't I don't know where my paints are. I'm moving everything. But behind me, I should have a brown marker. So let's let that glue cure for a second. And let me see if I have a marker. Clean off the mess here. Oh, that's a pen. Hold, please. I'm going to go see if I can locate my brown marker. I have a brown pen, which isn't going to work. I need something with a felt point, not a metal point. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Brown marker. Now that I'm on the other side of the house, where I'm closer to the craft room, I can get to stuff like this. I might have to get some brown paint. That's better. It's not great, but it's better. I'll probably get some brown paint for it, but here we go. Wow, the brown marker looks purple. Ah, that's funny. So there we go. Nice bright moon. Like I said, it's slightly brighter than OEM because it's a different manufacturer of the LED. And we have the witches. If I bring it closer to the camera, you can kind of see the witches. This is overpowering. That's the problem. Now you can see the witches better. Look at that. So that is how you, lights are coming back. Once the camera should focus once the lights are on. There we go. And light 2. So I will link below where I got these from. I got them on Amazon. So I'll link the link below. So if you want to get some flat 3mm LEDs, you can. You saw how to take it apart. You don't have to tear the bottom out like it showed up for me. I'm assuming that's how they try to get into the tree. If you look at the back of the tree, it runs up the tree. So that's how you get to it. You will need a hot glue gun. You will need heat gun and a way to separate this, a soldering iron and solder. I missed the spot of glue right here, so the wire's sticking out of its track, so I'm going to put another dab on it real quick. But other than that, unless you break the cord here, which is from your power, or you break it where it goes around going inside, you shouldn't have to take the felt off. Everything can be done from up above if you lose the light here. Now if you use the light here, yeah, you got to take the bottom off. And I know it has a little circuit board, which is strange, but what you can do is if your circuit board fails with that little blob chip, all that does is make this flicker. You can just put a flicker LED set in here, 2, because I'm sure there's 2 in here. 1, yeah, there's 2. And one is yellow and one is orange. You can just get 2 flicker LEDs, solder them in, and bypass the circuit board. Make sure you got a resistor, and you can recreate the flame effect without the circuit board. So stuff like this is repairable if the circuit board gets damaged, which is kind of nice. And I hate glue strings. There we go. So that is it. I'm going to see if I got some brown paint hiding somewhere, since the marker isn't dark enough. And I'm going to touch up down here, and we should be good to go. So that concludes the full moon moonshine accent piece with a burned out LED moon and how to repair it. So, and again, let me know below questions, concerns, comments. Does the sound okay in here? Is the lighting okay for viewing? Any background noise, since this room has a real ceiling fan in it versus the other room that had a 12-volt one that I would turn off during filming because it was really loud to the microphone. So just give me any feedback. Of course, other videos will ask the same thing until we get this room set the way it should be, to where it's optimal for 1, fixing, and 2, sound and video. Till the next one, thanks for watching.